As we all know, we are here to talk about Simboxing. But once the technical people are here, please don't ask me what the meaning of Simboxing is, because I may confuse you. However, we are all aware that some many years ago, or even now, issues about Simboxing have become dominant because of its negative impacts on both government revenues and that of the telecom operators in the country. There have been numerous attempts by the telecom industry players, including the regulator and the police, to find an end to the canker, but this has not achieved the needed results. It is against this background and more that the network of communication reporters found it prudent to ask part of its half-yearly industry dialogue series to organize this breakfast session on the theme, Fighting Simboxing, the Policy Options. Our aim is simple: to set the stage for players in the industry to explain what the real issues are and to find an amicable way forward to ending the fraud. Let us be reminded that the government needs money, so it stops begging from international donors. Again, the telecom companies also want to return on their investments to delight their shareholders. Before I welcome you formally, let me set the stage for discussion by asking, are we winning or losing the fight against Simboxing? I ask because it is estimated that Simbox fraud is costing us millions of dollars every month. The telcos believe it is the minimum of 19 cents per minute on international call that the NCA has by law, that is Electronic Communication Amendment Act 2008, Act 786, placed on all incoming international calls. The argument is that the 19 cents is high enough to leave a huge margin for fraudsters to share. Recently, the NCA started a public consultation on the upcoming Interconnect Clearinghouse. The clearinghouse, according to the NCA, would be performing a number of functions, including dealing with fraud in the telecom industry on both the local and international front. It will be interesting in a forum like this to get some explanation on how the Interconnect Clearinghouse would deal with the menace of Simboxing. With these few words, I formally welcome you all, and please, let's be attentive and listen and discuss. Thank you very much.
Some independent perspective on Simboxing to begin with. We have a gentleman who now works is a CTO, if not, is a COO for TSP Ghana. But he's more than that. He's more than that. He's worked with almost, almost for every one of them. Okay, so almost all the telcos in this country. Almost. And he has not just worked with almost all the telcos in this country. He has worked at both the technical side and the sales and marketing side. So, I don't know who else would have gotten to do this for us. Let's go down together and welcome Mr. Neoyaka to give us.
Okay. All right. I think I was asked to explain how come you receive international calls and sometimes you see a local number appearing on your phone. I have an engineering background, but this is not an engineering lecture, so I would give just enough information so you understand how it works and the pluses and the minuses of the technology behind it. Okay. I recall sometime in 1987 thereabout, I was in primary school, so I think I remember. I was living with my grandfather, and we were living in Ho at the time. He received a telegram from a friend who was living in Germany, and it simply gave him date and time he was going to call me. Those days were not the privileged days we have now, where telephones were widely available. There were only few homes that had telephones at the time. And I recall we were going to receive a call in a house where the phone number was 468, 3 digits. And so in Ho at the time, the telecom exchange could only offer up to 900 numbers, can serve only 900 customers. The import of this is that the access to telecommunication back then was very limited, and so we did not have the kind of situation we have now. What I'm trying to drive at here is in the 90s when the mobile networks came in, we took away the cabling and also made access available to majority of Ghanaians, and so we had the boom. After the mobile phone came the mobile internet, or came internet first, then we had mobile internet through GPRS, through its edge, and 3G and 3.5 and so on. Now we have 4G. Then we had smartphones. After fast smartphones came the apps. I'm driving at the evolution that has happened over the years. So from PSTN, where even to make or receive an international call, you had to rely on an operator. The calls did not come to you directly. The calls were terminated at the telephone exchange, your house was called, and the calls were connected. And so with the mobile phone came the international direct dialing, where you can make the call and you can receive the call on your own. What I'm going to now is, after the advent of the internet came voice over technology to aid long distance calls. We have tools like Ring Central. I work for a US company and I have a US number which works right here in Ghana. It actually works right here in this room. You can get to me on my US number right here in Ghana. It has its fraudulent part where I can deceive people where I am, but it also gives that universal access to wherever I am. When it comes to applications like Skype, Viber, Tango, those are peer-to-peer. And so when I have it, you have it, we can communicate. Okay. The reason for Simboxing is an integration of all of these technologies. The landline, the mobile phone, and the internet. Okay. So I'm going to use the next diagram to explain just in simple terms how a call originating from another country ends up on your phone, irrespective of the network on which you are, and appears as a local call. Okay. So on the left, I'll give a few definitions. An A number is, let's say, a caller, and the B number is the one that has been called. And so if I'm calling you, my number is A, your number is B. And so an A number in US or UK or Germany makes a call to a B number in Ghana. What happens is that these A numbers, and most of the time happen through card providers, okay, route the calls to their gateway in whatever country the call is coming from. The local partners have a gateway in Ghana that is connected over the internet using this voice over IP technology. There are various protocols there. There's a SIP, there's a Skype, there's the Asterisk, and various other technologies that are used to route the call from the overseas gateway to the gateway in Ghana. Now, to the gateway in Ghana is connected a SIM bank. This SIM bank is loaded with local SIM cards. So I think yesterday, when I was rehearsing this with my wife, and she asked me, and so why do they choose a particular network as a SIM bank, or why do they buy a particular network and use within that SIM bank? And it's simple, the one that offers the most favorable tariff. Or if you want to go a bit deeper, they can analyze and say, if most calls are going to be terminated on MTN, then let me just get an MTN and enjoy the benefit of on-net and then the lower tariffs and actually make more margins. Okay. So when the call gets to the SIM bank, the B number is now dialed. This SIM bank is operating more like an automated receptionist. So the call hits the receptionist. The receptionist knows that the call is meant for this B number. And receptionist dials out that B number and connects the two. And so whilst you sit at home and receive your call, you see a call coming from a local number, but then the A number is lost to you because the middleman has decided to take over the role and send the call to you. The next question she asked when I was trying to do the rehearsal was, okay, so how do these people make money? Who's paying them to do this? And it's simple. I can sit here and conjure calls coming into, hijack calls that are coming into the country and decide to route them to the person that they sent to. It's a syndicate. And so from the origin to the locals, it's big business. It's not some street boys that are engaged or some IT gurus that are engaged. This is a combination of IT and businesses who have been able to calculate and realize that there is a margin if we route the calls through this channel instead of routing it through the legitimate gateways. So if I have done what I've been asked to do, I've just tried to explain to you how you can receive a call from an A number, and instead of seeing that A number on your phone, you see a certain SIM bank number that presents on your phone as though that call is coming from that SIM bank. I recall that when I was at Airtel with one of my colleagues here, I suggested to him, if you discover Simbox, if you discover a number that is being used for Simbox, why don't you put a higher tariff on it? And so they pretend that, we just pretend we haven't seen. And there's a Simbox, we just raise your tariff to say 20 pesos per minute. At the end of the day, we still end up making the revenues and the government gets a share. But that was just a proposal that I passed on to him, and it's not a decision that we could have taken at our level. But this is the technology as it is, and for as long as technology works, people are going to find ways around it to still get the calls from the A number to you using the middleman, which is the Simbox. Thank you.
And we are fortunate to have the NCA with us here in the person of Mr. Henry Kano, who is the head of engineering. Let's put our hands together and welcome him.
Yes, my name is Henry Kano. I work with the National Communications Authority in the capacity of head of engineering. There are a lot to be said about Simboxing, and my good friend Eyome did a very good job to give you the technology aspect of what Simboxing is all about. My duty here is not to blame anybody, but to tell you what collaborative efforts as a regulator we are making to combat it. It's a technology, you cannot eliminate it, you cannot tell people not to use it. All of us here, one way or the other, use Skype, use Tango, and we ask ourselves, what are we doing? When we travel abroad, they tell you, call to Africa, 10 hours and pay $10. You buy the card, you scratch, they give you directions, what to do. First, dial this, second, do this. You are talking to the receptionist who routes your call. You have a cheap card, more talking hours, but I don't know what you are doing. Dear colleagues, it's a pleasure to be part of this insightful breakfast workshop to deliberate on the policy options for fighting Simboxing in Ghana. Where I stand, I call it bypass fraud. Bypass fraud because you are bypassing the approved international gateways to terminate calls in the country. Bypassing of approved international gateway started in Ghana in the late 90s when internet service providers were authorized to operate. Since 2010, the NCA has been coordinating the efforts of industry players, the judiciary, the law enforcement agencies to combat this illegal termination of international traffic to Ghana. This collaboration has led over the years to arrest and prosecute a number of illegal operators, a few which have been reported in the media. The NCA also appreciates the efforts of the contributions of the network communication reporters and the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications in this fight. In the fight to eliminate this menace, the authority has instituted several measures, a few of which are enumerated below. The International Incoming Traffic Verification System used by the NCA as an inbuilt fraud detection facility that detects the local numbers terminating the international traffic and send a list of those numbers to the telcos to block them. There is an anti-fraud task force made out of the NCA, the telcos, the police CID, and the AG's department responsible for apprehension, arrest, persecution of persons or entities involved in Simboxing. The acquisition of a field equipment for the detection of the location of Simboxing activity. We also institution of SIM registration guidelines that mandates any person to register his or her SIM card before use. This is to enable the anti-fraud task force to match the SIM cards with individual faces. Another list, and more recently, the implementation of the FTP or the File Transfer Protocol and guidelines for the timely dissemination and blocking of fraud SIMs. As much as we are happy with our achievements, these fraudsters also keep modifying their technologies to evade detection. Some of them even export Ghanaian SIM cards abroad for the termination. Simboxing deprived the nation of revenues and the telcos as well of about $40 million a year. Even as we have gathered here to discuss the policy options, it is my belief that this collaborative effort will go a long way to aid the fight to eliminate this illegal and criminal activity. I thank you for the invitation and count on very much on your collaboration to fight this menace together. Thank you, and God bless us all.
So I think we are now getting the picture that this is serious business. $40 million a year losses. Can we put that into perspective? There are journalists here. Journalists are very good at calculating. That's $8 million a month. Master, we have to stop this thing. You understand? $40 million a year. And sometimes when you think about some of the monies that as a country we go in for in terms of loans and grants and things for certain projects, and this $40 million that we could have been coming to us generally without we having to go for a certain loan somewhere and be paying interest. It's huge money. It's huge money. So please. And then along the line, Mr. Kano also did mention that SIM registration is also very important in fighting Simboxing. We have the telcos here because SIM registration is indeed in their domain. So we have the telcos here. A gentleman from the telecoms industry is going to be speaking with us from the telcos perspective. But then when you come to question times, we have the freedom to ask all the questions that we talk about. Please keep it in mind. $40 million. And yes, we have Mr. Theophilus Boche, who is the manager for fraud prevention at Vodafone. He is here to speak with us from the telecoms industry's perspective. Let's put hands together for
as possible as we go through the concept of Simbox. So you will ask, what is a Simbox? As has been explained already, it's like a box containing a lot of SIMs. Yes, briefly, as you can see, this, could you go to the next slide, please? So the dynamics of it, in fact, it has been explained several times in several ways, but I'm hoping to bring it very much closer to you, as I go through this one. What is actually happening? You are in UK or you are in US, somewhere out there, and you want to call Ghana. In fact, most of the time, you want to use the card that will give you the most minutes. These cards, let's say in UK, you might buy a £5 card and you want to speak for about 40, 50 or 60 minutes. That will be about 18 cents per minute. But in Ghana, we are charging 19 cents per minute for termination. So how can somebody get about 19 here and pay 19 there? It doesn't work. So what happens is they go through some other routes, to make their money. So exactly what is happening is this man makes a call, let's say in UK, it goes to British Telecom or the biggest telecom company there. Then from there it goes to the wholesale market. In fact, all these things are going on within seconds. You wouldn't realize it. The calls will now go to the wholesale market where there are carriers. Imagine, for hypothetical reasons, imagine you were charged 22 cents per minute for your call. This company might keep 2 and give on 20 cents to this carrier. Please take the calls to Ghana for me. I'm giving you 20 cents per minute because you will be paying 19 here per minute. All right. So there's this guy down here who says, hey, if you take it through this route, you pay 19 and you'll be left with only 1 cent. Why not give it to me at, let's say, 12? If you give it to me at 12, you have about 7 to 8, to keep. Once it comes to this guy too, he is going to push it into our network at that small rate of 2.5, normally average of 3 cents per minute. So between 12 and 3, he also makes quite a lot of money. There is money transfer between this carrier guy and this Simbox guy in Ghana. And it's a cool business. It keeps going on. Please, am I making it clearer now? Yeah. So that is actually what is going on. And once the calls are passing here, we are here. We have spent so much money to build all these gateways. We are maintaining them. We are paying license to have the international gateway. No calls are passing there, or else less calls, and we are losing a lot. Instead of getting 19 cents and giving government 6 cents, so we keep 13, we don't get anything at all, but we are getting about 2.53 cents here. If even they make calls to other networks through your SIM, then you are going to pay even interconnect. And we still lose more. In fact, this is just the basis of it. So if you want to calculate some loss like the 40 millions that you have had, in fact, it could be more, because the guys, if they are able to operate well in a day, they can make close to $1,000 or $2,000 actually in a day. So can we go on there for now? What is causing this whole thing? It is because of the difference, as I explained earlier on, the difference between the 19 cents that we're charging here and then the local call rate, that is 2.5, or if you strike an average between the on net and off net, then it's about 3 cents. In fact, there is a nice graphical representation of it here that you can see. Somebody will ask, well, in Nigeria, even in Nigeria, why is there no Simbox? Because if you check their international termination rate and their local call rate, you find a difference between it. It's even negative. Nobody would like to do such business. Look at a country like South Africa, 0.04 international, local is also 0.04. There is no margin to be made there. Who will invest in this Simbox equipment and do this while the normal route is there? But look at a country like Zimbabwe, 0.2 and 0.07. The difference is so huge. So there is Simbox. And then in Ghana, interesting. In fact, the figures speak for themselves. So this will be a very good explanation of what is causing Simbox, because that guy is a businessman and he finds business in numbers. This minus that is equal to something. This thing times 1 million minutes or times 100 million minutes is a lot of dollars. That is all. Let's go. So what is making it fraud? In fact, somebody approached me and said, you people are killing technology. Some people are doing, they are bringing in technology and you are doing. But these guys, the guy is a typical office of a Simbox operator. Just his swivel chair, 1935 swivel chair, and then some table. And he's doing business. He has no telecom license. No license. He has no contract with any of the telcos to do anything. He just sets up and starts operating. No approved GSM gateway operation. No. He's not paying tax to anybody. Nobody knows how much he's making in a day or a week or a month. Then your important calls are passing through their equipment. That's a 2x4 equipment in a corner there. In fact, for this guy, the equipment was in that corner. If you enter his room, you won't even find it. Well, in the corner. So your calls are passing through his equipment. And you wouldn't know. In fact, all of us are a little bit, security conscious, and we don't want our calls to pass through these guys' equipment. So they're actually intercepting your calls. The effects of it are so many. Drop calls, poor voice quality, and then also for us, imagine we set up a cell site at this place. We will make some calculations and say, okay, there could be a maximum of 300 people around this place at any point in time. So we set up a cell site that can take about 400 or 500 people. But because of the operations of this guy, who has close to 1,000 SIMs, you see, he will put a lot of pressure on our cell sites. And then it is increased cost of operation to us because we have to put up more cell sites around. In fact, if we don't, do you know what happens? You make a call and you are told your line is switched off or out of coverage area. It is because the equipment is full. It cannot see you anymore. It is seeing all those SIM boxes. If the capacity is 300 and there are 1,000 people, it means all the 700 guys. You call them, it will say they are out of coverage area. And we have to spend a lot of money to put up more cell sites. Then equipment for detection of this Simbox. In fact, one company says he will generate 20,000 calls for us. You make calls, and out of the calls you detect the Simboxes. For 20,000 calls, you are paying close to about 100,000 euros a month, a year. This is something, 20,000 calls a month, and then in a year you are paying about 100,000 euros. Fraud management systems, none of them is less than 400,000 euros. And just count them, various systems to detect this, and it is very, very expensive. Then reputation, brand integrity. In fact, currently many people go to the embassy, they want to migrate, to US and UK, and then the British High Commission will tell you, bring call records, which shows your communication with your partner. You will be surprised. We will print your call records for you, and all you will see is local numbers. You are expecting to at least see a USA number that has been calling you. How will you feel to present this to the embassy? Or else, if police is conducting an investigation and they come and they are like, there was an international call from here to this number. We want to know the number. They have all their court order, which takes them quite some time to get anyway. And then they come to you and you only have to give them a local number. How will the telco, how do you think we feel in presenting such a number? Because the police will say, no, I am expecting 0044 or 001, but in fact it is a local number. It is quite alarming. Then I've talked already about the losses, either to us and then to government as well. Then the efforts, in fact, most have been discussed already. Huge investment that we make, as I was saying, about 80,000 euros for 20,000 calls a month. Then we are exchanging data. In fact, as I stand here, my emails are blinking. mails from MTN, mails from Tigo, Vodafone will send a mail to them. I've seen your Simbox, I've seen a Simbox on your network. We are working in that way. Then the regulator, NCA, is also doing a lot over there, detecting and sending to us every 2 hours and every hour. And we are supposed to be deactivating these numbers, investigating, finding out whether they are Simboxes and the rest. Then we have fraud forum meetings. We meet to exchange ideas because some people in some other telcos have, more knowledge on this, or they might have seen some trend that they want to discuss. We meet regularly to discuss this. Also, we have joint field investigations. You shouldn't be surprised to see an MTN guy and a Vodafone guy and a Tigo guy, out there looking for the same Simbox operator. We've done that before in Koforidua, Accra, wherever, so many places. They move when we bring a case up. Then also at the court, High Court, Financial Court, they will also listen to our cases and then take it through quickly, fast track. Can we go on? Then these are some headlines in the news. I believe you might have seen all these already. Simbox fraud, as I said earlier on, it is the difference between the 19 cent and the local rate. Then Vodafone doing something, Airtel doing something, MTN, it's evident. You can see we are all doing a lot. In fact, just because we are losing and government is also losing, we put in so much effort to fight this kind of thing. Can we go? These guys have evolved, as was said earlier on. These are surprising sometimes. They started with these kind of antennas. You would go on, on our joint operations. We see this funny antenna. This is not a TV antenna. It is not radio as well. So we were able to know that there's something wrong. We trace it to a room, and you find equipment there doing the Simbox. They came up with small antennas like that one. But some of them are not too smart. They would put it on top of a roof like that, and we will still catch them. Currently, as we speak, they have come with this kind of equipment sitting in a room. You go around the room everywhere, you won't find any of those antennas anymore. So as we speak now, it's very, very difficult to know where they are. And even more, the equipment, this whole big equipment has evolved into this kind of small equipment that they are using now. Very, very small and easy to remove the SIMs and replace. And you should see where we arrested the last one, I think somewhere last year, in a carpentry shop. We went to this carpentry shop, went around it. The people were busily working, building their tables and chairs. It took us close to 4 hours to know that, let's check the back office. In fact, there is a back office, and that is it. Containing all these equipment and batteries and what have you, doing a Simbox operation in a carpentry shop, barbering shop, saloon, and what have you. That's what they are doing now. Currently, actually, the reason why you are seeing a lot of Simbox is that the operators are confidently operating, knowing that it will be very difficult for us to catch them. They are using timing. If they know that they can spend 1.5 minutes or 5 minutes or more on your network, then they will operate more on your network. Some of us have implemented some systems that can detect their activities early enough and deactivate. But my brother, you deactivate 100 and they come with 100. You deactivate 200, they come with 200. Some time ago, the reason why when we deactivate a lot of their numbers, it takes time for them to come, was that they were using, of course, this or that. Now, as we speak, even this one, they have changed to this one connected to a server. And the server is containing about 2,000 SIMs. You will ask me, how does it contain 2,000 SIMs? Every day they go on the market and they buy 10 SIMs. 10 SIMs every day. Even, of course, they can buy 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon, 10 in the evening, and they keep stocking the servers. So by 1 month, they've got almost 2,000 or 3,000. The server is quite huge, like the first picture we showed. So as you deactivate the numbers, automatically they shift to the other SIMs. So they are always in operation. In fact, this is a very big fight, and we are going to be fighting it for some time to come. The latest arrest was done by MTN. After that, I don't think we've done any again. And in fact, one interesting picture in it which tells you about the millions this one. From 1st August to 10th August, he has several equipment, but one equipment has generated this for you. This is a picture from the source as they were arrested, and these are their equipment. Imagine visiting somebody, you see a nice curtain, but the antennas are actually behind the curtain. All the equipment, you will come and do business with this guy standing in front of this, just like this one. Then the equipment are right under. You will never know what they do. You will only hear some noise and some lightings and what have you. They are doing Simbox operation.
Sorry, you said one equipment has generated this lot. We didn't see, we can't see claims, so we can mention it.
Okay, this is $4,535 US. Yes, from 1st August to 10th August. And he has generated almost $5,000 from one equipment. And he has 1, 2, 3. It is one of such equipment I'm talking about. One of such. Can we go on, please? So as it is, we have all, as a telcos, we have all come up with a short code that is 419. If you receive such calls, in fact, we have systems that are detecting anyway, but if you receive such calls, you will do well to send it to 419 as a text message. This one, you don't need to call anybody, hello. Just send a text message to 419 and include the keyword Simbox. In fact, it is a line for reporting fraud. As Christmas is coming, there's going to be all the scams and what have you. You have won a prize, call this, or job for you, kindly call this or pay this to hear. All those scams, please, you need actually to be very much aware. I believe all of you are very, very smart, but they come with very interesting packages. If you sense or you detect such fraud, send a text message to 419 and it comes to us directly. We work on it immediately. Thank you very much.
I think one of the things that we told ourselves that this forum is going to be for is, very, very frank discussions about Simboxing. Because if we're talking about we are losing about $40 million a year to these fraudsters, and we can all see, how determined they are, because the money is huge. Like a certain politician says in this country, the money is big. Oh, you understand? The money is huge, so they will do everything to just get that money off us. So we should be frank, very, 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 very frank about it, and say things as they are. And then let's chat of course, to kill it. Quite a number of people who I know in certain quarters have been telling me, oh, this Simbox thing, it will stop. But it is not stopping. They will tell us, oh, it will stop, don't worry, it will stop. But it is not stopping. You understand? So, I wouldn't want to make any comments. We have the CID, because when Mr. Kano was speaking, he did mention that there was collaboration between the police, telcos, regulator, and everything like that. And Mr. Boche too did mention that some arrests are made and things like that. We have a rep from the CID here to tell us about some of the arrests they make, and after the arrest, what next? Because you would expect that there will be prosecution, people will be jailed or things like that. But very often, I don't know whether it is we the media who don't follow through to see, what is done to those who are arrested. But then often, like I said, they are paraded and then you don't hear anything again. So we have Mr. Francis Boche here, Francis Bar here from this police CID to tell us something about the arrest they make and then what they do from then on. Thank you very much. Let's put our hands together for him. So those of you who are sitting at the back there, the man came to sit by you. Now you see why he just decided to be CID. If you like, say something untoward, you see, you will be investigated.
I'm here to represent the Director General CID. I'm at the CID headquarters. I'm the head of legal and prosecution at the CID. But before then, I used to be the head of the desk responsible for Simbox fraud at the CID headquarters. So I've worked closely with Mr. Kano, Theo, and my colleagues here from MTN, Airtel, and other places. And I'm a member of the task force, which is responsible to detect and investigate Simbox fraud. On few occasions that we've made arrests, we did not do these operations in isolation. We normally undertake these operations in collaboration with NCA and all other service providers. Sometimes some of the operations are intelligence-led operations. In some cases, too, NCA will call upon us that please make some men available. We have these operations, and we make people available for them to go. Sometimes we go as far as to Koforidua to see whether we could make any impact. Sometimes we go and come back empty-handed. I will say that from where I'm coming from, I could see that with time, Simbox fraud is becoming more and more sophisticated. Those days, you could see very tall antennas planted on roofings. By this time, the length of the antenna is like my finger. They are becoming more sophisticated. And I think that I'll address that later. The moderator was talking about the fact that they had made few arrests, and sometimes these arrests are hyped in the press. The minister is seen speaking, and they expect that by this time they could hear results. It's true. It is true. I will not deny that. Some of the arrests, I will start by saying that we are able to detect and then identify where they are operating. But before we get there, the main people behind the operations are not available. So you end up arresting a small girl, a small boy who has been employed by this man, and he's taught how to operate, and you bring him. But you have to seize the equipment and other accessories that they are using to do these operations. But then as a routine and as a culture, we will inform the ministry, and we also want to inform the public that we are on our feet. In some cases too, we have been able to arrest the main people behind the operations. And in those cases, under the Act 772, the police is mandated to investigate and prosecute. Police will not have judicial functions. We only put evidence together and then submit the document to the AG's office, and they will study the document, and where they think is prosecutable, we will proceed to prosecute. Simbox offenses that we have detected, they are not cases that a police officer can take his pen at the CID headquarters and say that I am closing it, and for that matter, I have closed it. It can never be closed. You can't close it. It's a felony. And a felony, you cannot sit in the police station and take your pen and close it. Unless the evidence is so porous that there's nothing you could do, then you say you close it. As far as I'm concerned, none of the cases have been closed. They are all active and they are open. Now, those areas that we made good arrests, let me use the word good arrest. I hope you understand what I mean by the good arrest. Where the main culprits are arrested, we have never granted any of them bail at the CID headquarters. But there's an arrangement that we should prosecute such cases at the Financial High Court. And we are limited by the Constitution. Article 14 says that when the person is arrested, you cannot keep him in custody for more than 48 hours. And you must bail him within 48 hours. But these are high-profile cases that we cannot grant bail at the police station. So what we normally do is that we will first send the accused person to the circuit court just for them to be remanded into proper custody. And then we will forward a duplicate docket to the Attorney General's office for them to study and then assign it to a state prosecutor. Then they will now transfer the case from the circuit court to the High Court. As I speak, we have I would say about 6 cases. If my memory serves me right, maybe more or 6 cases, I'm sure, about a little or 6 cases before the High Court. In one of the cases, we were able to gain conviction. But Theo is here. I wish Mr. Ban Chamfo was here. He has appeared before court to give evidence in some of the cases. Theo too has appeared before court to give evidence in some of the cases. We police do not have control over court proceedings. Most of these accused, all of the accused persons have lawyers. In one of the cases, we have about 4 lawyers fighting us. And when lawyers are in the case, sometimes, I don't know, but sometimes they also want to fight their case. So where you think that the thing should be done, should be expedited, well, their rights are also to be respected. So I cannot speak for the court. But what I will tell you is that those cases are before court. I know in one case, the prosecution have closed this case. And the other one, the 2 of them at the Financial High Court, I can remember, we have almost closed our cases. It's all with addresses. I can't talk about that. And the other one, too, were mandated by the state, the Attorney General, that the police can prosecute. And the guy is a British. He became sick, and there were a lot of writs going on at the High Court that they want him to be flown outside for treatment. We don't have control of our sectors. So we send those writs to the AG's office, and they will go to court fighting the matter. So that one is hanging. There was another one involving 2 Lebanese. We went to court. They were remanded for, I think, 2 consecutive times. And then later on, they were granted bail. When they were granted bail, we lost one of them. He failed to appear. But the other one is still available. He comes to court. And then there was another case too. A lot of petitions were being filed in that case. We were in the circuit court. The circuit judge threatened to discharge them, and we also threatened to rearrest them. So they rescinded. We have been fighting these things in court, but who would talk? Policeman, for police, the impressions about us sometimes is said that even if you have a good case, nobody will listen to you. That's why it is true, because we have our own problems, maybe and then we may be doing good jobs, but nobody sees it. There was even a time that one court threatened to discharge, and the prosecutor said, "My lord, if you discharge, I'll rearrest them." So they rescinded. The other time they discharged, we arrested them and kept them in custody. But we are still limited by the Constitution. I have had an occasion of going, maybe I don't have to say this, but the moderator said we should be frank. And I have had occasions of talking to Mr. Koku Sechiado quietly. I've made certain complaints to him. I've met Mr. Kano and his boss, and I've confided in them as to what are my worries about these cases. And I even made suggestions to them as to what they can do, so that the policeman will not be questioned. What is your interest? That is the problem we face when you are pursuing a matter. Ask you, what is your interest? So you go forward and you cannot go forward. So it's not that we are not prosecuting. We don't have control. And the judges too may also not have control, because it's a judicial process. The lawyers are there to fight their case. So I cannot tell. But I want to tell you that most of these cases are before court. Right. Now, those that we couldn't arrest the main culprits, in some of the cases, we were able to get their voters' ID card. So we had their pictures, and we have declared them wanted in our records. So if you look at our police gazette, some of them have been declared wanted. Those that we don't have enough information, the cases are still open. So it's not that we are not doing anything. We are doing it. But it's like in our situation, when you shout, nobody will hear. And when they even hear, they say, don't mind them. But I want to assure you that it's not a case. Such cases are not cases that a policeman can get up and say that maybe I have done this and that, so I've closed it. You can't. And the Director General CID will not even allow it. Because CID headquarters, we don't close cases. The Director General CID, we all report to him. And he will never allow you to close such a case. So those who want to know the cases which are pending, when you come, you can give you the list. Because I have ever made photocopies of all the letters forwarding the documents to them, and I have met the DPP on one-on-one to express, to plead that no, some of these things, let us do something. And he also called the prosecutors. It's not their fault. They have also have a lot of cases on their hands. They will take this case. There's another case here. You have been hearing how some of the high-profile cases which are going on there. So I don't know, but I have had audience with Mr. Kano, and I have made certain suggestions to them. I expect that maybe they will also find time, maybe, I don't know, so that we can move together and see. Because I think, in my view, we should have a special court, and then selected prosecutors should be assigned to these courts, so that when the doctors get to them, they go straight to that court, and then we can get results fast. But if it goes into the mainstream, like any case that goes to court, and then you give it to a prosecutor, he has a heap of documents like this. I'm the head of prosecution now at the CID headquarters. When you come to my office, you will not like it. It's like that. You want to finish reading this one, then they call you that, we need results about this. Then you drop this, and then another can say, hey, Bimila docket, you must make sure that the people are before court. And Bimila case is what? High profile. And you are on it, they said, catch me. That you are the running around. The National Service docket, you have to read through. So it is not easy. So I don't blame the prosecutors. But what I want to suggest, Mr. Kano is here, my boss, Mr. Kopi Sajiado, is here. I think that if a special court is assigned for such cases, I think now they say we should go to the Financial High Court. Now we are going to Financial Court 1 and 2. And then we selected prosecutors are given this job. I think it will help. To help a lot. To go a long way to help. Now, police duties are not only to investigate and prosecute. We also have a mandate to prevent crime. Talking to where I'm coming from, I think that some of the measures that could help control Simbox fraud is preventive. I'm saying preventive because when Mr. Kano was speaking, he put the figure on the board, is it $40 million or whatever it is? And everybody was, hey. I was privileged to work with Airtel. They brought some expatriates, and for, I think, 21 days or so, we undertook some operations with these white men, and the results were effective. I would say that some of the cases before court were as a result of what they came to do with us. Within no time, we made a good arrest. You could see that their equipment were very effective. And we are talking of 40 million losses. And when they told me the amount, I nearly wept. With all my poverty, I think I can buy that equipment. So I think NCA can also take the losses, the $40 million, small, to not even reach 50,000 or even 100, let's take it at 500,000. Mr. Goku, can't you spend this money to buy good equipment? Can't we? We go to Koforidia and we roam around the whole city. They say the machine says here, they will go there. And the machine cannot take you to that this is the house. That is what we face. Mr. Kano, forgive me, sir. Because the moderator told me that I should be frank. So please, I hope when you leave here, you will not tell them that I'm not ambassador. Forgive me, sir. So with all due respect, Mr. Kano, let us spend a little. You know, security is expensive. You cannot achieve results in security without spending. So the journalists, some of these things, you should be on their tails. Tell him he's here. I have had the occasion of meeting the minister one-on-one, and I told him some of the things. He's a busy man. Right. So I'm happy that I have got the opportunity. Now, another issue is that these equipment, they are not manufactured in Ghana. How did they bring them into this country? I'm aware NCA have got their reps at the port of entries. How many arrests have they made at the airport? They should tell us. I'm not indicting anybody with all due respect to you. I beg you, sir. But let us be honest. The equipment come through, they carry, they are not things that you just put in your breast pocket and start walking away. They are items which are in boxes. They are items that you have to even pass entries to clear. Or if they come accompanied, they are examined by SEPs. And then CA official, I'm told that they describe those equipment as computer accessories. So, what is happening? Because they are not manufactured here. And then the service providers, they use your own water to bath you. They use your own water to bath you. They use your own credit cards. And they use your own SIM cards. You go to a place, we did one case, they want to bought these SIM cards. 3,000 SIM cards. It should reflect on your records. It should show. If proper recording system is in place, if someone comes to buy a bulk of SIM cards, 3,000 at a go, you should put somebody on inquiry that what is happening here. But we wait and then we want to investigate history. History. The thing happens and we are roaming around. Every now and then, Theo will be calling me. They will sit down and be planning. Why are we following history? Why? We think that we are more sophisticated than them. Those who are operating SIM boxes, we are sophisticated, and NCA has got a bigger equipment than them. MTN have bigger equipment, and Airtel have bigger equipment, and they are more. When it comes to knowledge, they are more knowledgeable than them. Some of them are illiterate. I was asking Theo the other time, I said to you, some of these people were arrested. They are illiterate. How did they know that this equipment can terminate calls? And Theo was looking at my feet. Mr. Moderator, I think if I go on, you will not like me. So, the moderator is urging me on, but others too also should be given the opportunity to have their turn. So I would like to thank you and to thank my bosses here for giving me the opportunity to speak like this, and I am pleading with them not to take me on. I have not come here to indict anybody, but I think that the few things I've put across, let us think about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. In fact, you can always put your hands together and say, see, those of us who are journalists to the core, when people are frank like this, they make our day. And I know Mr. Mesa is very, very happy. Straight to business. We want to get answers from this gentleman who has stated partly, and then to see whether we can chat forward as a country to kill this. Okay. So I don't know. I have a question already. But let me just start by let me ask a question first. Gentlemen, my dean did ask a question from the beginning in the speech. He asked a question. Are we winning this fight against Simboxing? Because to my understanding, right from sometime I think 2007, 2008, when we didn't have this electronic communication amendment thing, Simbox was high, but from then on, some of the figures I've seen some figures from a company called Mutual. The telcos know which company I'm talking about. And when you look at the figures in terms of the Simbox activity, it doesn't look like it is reducing. It just increasing. And it looks like we put measures in place, but the menace is still here with us. And it's not as if it is taking it's a straight line. Keep increasing and increasing. Are we winning this fight? The efforts we are putting in place, are they working? Let me start from the regulator.
10 minutes, Mr. Moderator. Why should we be there and say we are listening? We are not losing the fight. We are giving them a context. What is happening is that it's a technology. For instance, how many of us got in our emails or adverts that work from home and earn $3,000 a month? How many of us? I always get them with bad belief. People perceive it. So the fight is a technological fight and it's evolving. All that we can do is a collaborative effort to continue to fight. To just realize that we have a very good task force. So NCA in 2011, we put on the judges to give them tolerance for Simboxing. But there was a case where the judge said, by this stage, what is it? How can we do that? But after giving them tolerance for Simboxing, they appreciate the technology. So when you send your case to court, they know the relevant questions to ask. Like Mr. Van said, they did a lot of arrests, they did a lot of communication. But it's an involving technology. The technology is involved. We have what we call virtual SIM boxes, where we have SIM cards being exported outside the country. Yes. These are things that it's only collaboration that we can end this. And the collaboration will involve almost everybody, like the 419, the Portuguese, like the custom treatment. But the custom officer, who is not an IT expert, how will he know that this thing is a server or a CPU? It's a problem. Some of them so until we collaborate, until we embrace everybody, all hands on deck, we will bounce to the fight. It's a technology that is very difficult to find. That's what I say.
Be rolling. I want to change. Yeah, to be rolling.
We shall win. We are on it.
Don't use the camera to read.
Actually,
Use the
they
hand.
are
Yes.
using technology. And what happens is technology is also evolving.
No, you use
Started,
it too. I want to
you
change
would
it.
arrest a Simbox operator who has an equipment in his room, huge equipment and huge antenna on top of the building. And you could easily, spot where they are. Currently, as we speak, they are using network systems. The same number that we detect making a call at Osu at 7 a.m. is making a call in Nambrogo at 7:05 a.m. You will wonder what is happening. It is because they are using server clients. We are chasing them in that way. Next time, who knows what they will bring. In fact, when you also travel to US and you are calling Ghana, the £1 1 minute. You want to use £1 60 minutes. So as long as people also want to use the cheap tools, they have business. They want to do business. And unfortunately in our country, the termination rate is high and the local rate is low. The difference is causing arbitrage. This arbitrage is kind of their motivating factor to do business. Start working on all these things. We are working. If we work on all of them, and we will be on top of the game.
This is not part of the technology, and I'm not part of the fight. So But what I can say is that I tried to do a little research about some of the uses that the Simbox is good to. I was trying to develop a solution.
Give me full.
The device, again, like I said, it's not.
Try to avoid their heads as much as possible.
So, if say your business requires to receive calls from all networks, and you go and buy the GSM gateway, you can set it up to receive calls legitimately. But its application of being used to originate calls and terminate international calls is where it's legal, so it's bypassing the legal And so we can also ban the importation of the equipment. But what needs to be done at the forefront is that when it comes in, let's say for instance, I import a gateway to use for the telecom solution. The system should know that I have that equipment, and the system can monitor what I use that equipment for. Yeah. So I'm just trying to be very careful so we don't also end up setting up. But I can set up a call center, which is accessible by a cell phone, and I want to be able to pick 50 calls simultaneously. Let's say this is a call center. We want to be able to see 10 calls simultaneously. I should be able to have a system that can take 10 to see the calls. That is not wrong. So we cannot label the device as make it entrance to the country. So sort of ban its entry to the country. That is just what I want to say. Wow, that is actually intriguing because Mr. Man will probably want to. As Mr. Carlos said, let me look as a police officer.
Yeah.
If a police officer concedes that he's losing a fight, then whatever it is that we think what we might see now is temporary. So we are on top and will continue to be on there. And then we will carry the fight to them. We are not ready to go. Thank you very much. What intrigued me was what Mr. Emeka said, that you may probably not be able to even prevent the Simbox, the machines from coming in, because they may be coming in to be used for certain legal purposes, but some of them end up being used for illegal purposes. Wow, that is a huge problem. Anyway, yeah, this gentleman has a question, Mr. Richard. No, yeah, right. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Richard Abi. I write for the Investment and Financial Times. My question is pretty simple. I want to know how these SIM cards are registered. Are they registered in somebody's name? That is somebody finding them and registering in the name, or the vendors? Because I'm aware of vendors, they sell registered SIM cards, and I want to know how these SIM cards that are used for the Simboxing are registered. And then also, I was wondering, how difficult is it for us to clear that charge or follow the Nigerian or the South African example, rather than going all the way and chasing people all over the country? Is it difficult? Is it that difficult? Should we be spending resources chasing people when we can just clear that thing and be free? Thank you.
Okay. Probably let me take one.
Things that the trial I wanted to talk about, and also the fight. Okay, the fight, are we seeing the numbers, the losses we are making? Is it coming down? If that is the case, then we can say we are winning. But if we just say before we're fighting, we will win or winning, I don't get where we're getting to. But if we say that the numbers used to be 40 million, now it is 20, then we know that we're getting somewhere. And then the equipment, what other uses can they be used to? If we know that is what they're going to be used for, why don't we check them at the border? We have customs officials, these are also security agencies. Why can't they do some of these things? And then we allow them to, like Ayoman said, I think we can keep record of them where they are, and then we can check them. Thank you.
Can't we just keep up the 19 cents? And then, just as a way of disincentivizing the Simbox process, I think that would be a question for the NCA to answer. And then SIM registration, the bulk registration of SIMs, what is happening? Because we are saying that that's also a contributing factor. That's what the telcos to answer. Then the borders, how they come in. Who is supposed to answer now? NCA. And then, are the losses going down or they are going up? The telcos should tell us. Are their losses going down or they are going up? And then probably NCA should also answer that. Whether as a country, are the losses for us in terms of the taxes that we get, are they going down or they are rising? Because me, some of the numbers I'm seeing assume that they are rising. But maybe I'm wrong. So first of all, let's go to Mr. Kano first.
First, said my good friend here said is a technology that can be used positively. And some people who abuse it. Just like teaching life. You hear every day people are starved teaching life. Do we say we should stop using teaching life? No. The issue is technology. And if you ask any IT guy, he will tell you it's a good technology. When you are combating technology, use technology to combat. All we have to do is every day, several times, frequently touch with the customers, to even show them the new versions of the Simbox system. You do it, but what of if the person is that having border, having transferred to Accra of them, will he do that? That's some of the, these are human issues that it takes some time to surmount. Now on the arbitrage, I don't believe in that. 2008, where SCA was not controlling international traffic rates, cost generated in Ghana came as low as 4 cents. 4 cents. And as high as what? 8 cents. It was the telcos themselves that approached the regulator. Now look, we have to do something about this. Hence the decision to amend the Act 775 to have as what 786. To put the ceiling of what 90 cents there so that the telcos can make what 10 cents. When we started, the telco was happy. You see, this is an act of parliament. If somebody is not happy with that, what should we do? Go back to parliament, not go back to parliament, and let them change. But as the regulator, it's an act of parliament, we cannot change that. Secondly, Côte d'Ivoire, our Western sisters, international traffic rate is what? 25 euro cents. And there's no Simboxing. Yes.
There is.
You see. But not to the extent that we're talking about.
More than us. It's humongous.
You see, with the data ID. So it's not always the case of arbitrage. Take Tanzania. Tanzania is also fighting 25 cents. By put technology in place, you need ICT to fight Simbox. The bounty hunting, like my brother just said, that way you go chasing people, it's not only the panacea. You need what? You have to aggregate resources. You need intelligent gathering. You need a lot of, that's what the CID is. You need to strengthen the judiciary. You see, the take of courses for them to grow the rules of the game. These are things that we do. But when we talk about Nigeria, the cost of telecom business in Nigeria, the OPEX, is higher than that in Ghana. You see, because the Nigeria, the base station, you have to put about 2 generators, but the disk will come for 1. You see, so security to even guard your base station is more expensive in Nigeria than in Ghana. So they factor some of these things when it comes to government tax regimes. So Nigeria, and what is the economy of Nigeria compared to Ghana? 120 million penetration. And we have how much? 25 million. 120 million. So if the thing is even 1 cent, aggregate it and see how much you pay. These are factors that they factor into making decisions or policies. So we should rather look at them when they come to, after all, what do they use? It's the SIM card. And they don't control SIM card. How can somebody buy 3,000 SIM cards, and these 3,000 SIM cards have to be activated? and they are activated and it's being used. We should look at our distribution systems. We should look at the registration system. Where an agent takes one passport ID and call it to get about 20 SIM cards. These are problems that we face, realities. If we don't address all these issues, if we don't change the registration system, where it is very difficult for you to activate, you go travel outside and you have to give everything, your passport, and you activate your SIM after some number of hours. But you have to do background check and everything. But here, what do you do? Not to there are certain SIM cards, activated SIM cards, or registered SIM cards at 5 Ghana cedis. Who send people who are arrested tomorrow to come back? So that the problem is to sit down and collaborate and see the way forward, how we should tackle this menace. It's a menace and we have to tackle it. But we only use ICT to tackle it.
Come to the question, but maybe just so that we won't get away from that particular issue. I like what Mr. Kano said, that the telcos actually came to you and said, let's set certain ceiling so that we'll be making money. So now the telcos are coming back to you and saying, we were wrong. Okay, so now they have to go further. Okay. No, can we finish? Okay, now, let's finish so that we'll come to that. Otherwise, yeah, Mr. Bodi, if asked questions about SIM registration, and then some of the issues that Mr. Ghana raised, you have some response.
Well, about the SIM registration, I believe that's the one I want to talk about. It has been said that some SIM box operators acquired so many SIM cards. But when I was making my presentation, I made a statement. They do not buy 3,000 SIM cards in one day. You see, currently as we are sitting here, the SIM box guys, you should know that they are also sophisticated. In fact, they do research and they always want to hide away from us. Okay, they will send people to town. We did investigations. After we went on the ground, they can acquire your ID, my ID. Let's say 5 genuine IDs and give it to 5 boys. Okay, they go to Osu and each of them wants 3 cards. Won't they get it? And if it comes into our system, is it wrong? No. Then from Osu they go to Medina. From Medina they go to Achimota. In fact, by the end of the day, if they are acquiring 3 SIM cards from each desk, by the end of the day, how many do you think they will get? And the names are Kofi Apia, ID is this, house is this. Is it wrong in our system? No. So what are we talking about? They are also using their kind of technology. They are not acquiring those 3,000 SIM cards such that we do not see. Of course, we are also happy more SIMs are coming in the system, and they are coming with good names. Unlike, let's say, 2000, that one they would write AAA as the first name, BBBB as the second name. Currently, as we sit here, it will be very difficult for you to see a SIM that is not properly registered. So that is what they are doing, and that is what we are facing. Thank you.
There was okay. So we answered the question about the borders. There was a question about whether the losses are going up or coming down.
I will not be able to answer that question. As to whether the losses are going up or coming down, there are times when their operations are quite a lot. You find that you are on top of the game until you realize that they are using another kind of technology that is quite ahead of yours, and you need to follow them again. So as we have said here, it's like cat and mouse game, and we are all in the game. Kind of, they are doing the same box and we are following them. In fact, a time will soon come when we will be ahead of them. That is when all the things we are talking about have been rectified. The arbitrage is clear, there is proper SIM registration regime and all that. Then we will say we are quite on top and there are no more losses. But currently, as you know, their operation is causing losses to us and causing losses to government. It is a loss. Whether it is small or big, there are losses as we continue to operate.
But at least you can tell us whether it's going on.
It's happening.
It's going on.
I am quite unable to say whether up or down, but it is fluctuating.
David Jones, Mr. Kamala, I agree with you that the 19 cents was introduced by way of an act of parliament. And every act of parliament may be amended. Every act of parliament may be amended. As a regulator, would you also agree with me, that where there is no marginal difference between the international income cap and the domestic termination rates, there will be no incentive for Simboxing operators to conduct business through this illegal and fraudulent operations that they currently have in our market.
2008, a Simbox started in the 90s. Specifically 2008, it came as low as 4 cents. Telcos were not making money, they were losing. So that is that theory of arbitrage. Why then the theory they did not business? Then in 2008, we were having Simboxes. Did you know it? But then to them, even 1 cent is enough. So what I'm saying is that we should look at aggregate solutions. We should aggregate all the solutions to the problem. Amendment, MCA doesn't do amendment. It's parliament. So if you have a case that you felt is because arbitrary, like you gave the first time, put up a paper, put up a district. Because it's not, if you don't discuss this in public, bring your submission to the NCA, sit with the NCA, let's discuss it, then forward to the minister, it goes to parliament, the government will do it, parliament does. But I here, I'm not a parliamentarian. NCA is not parliament. You see, NCA may be seeing the issue differently, as I'm saying, because 2008, if the theory of arbitrage, then why did we have that? Why did you run to us? And the 90 cents, let me tell you, we were using the AT&T benchmark. Cost to Ghana was between 90 cents and 33 cents. And you are agreeing that there should be what? The lower. Then everybody was happy because monies were coming back. If along the line, because it's not cast in stone. If along the line you felt that this problem, let's do something about it. You see, but it's not in the public that you submit your paper, your this thing, and say, this is what I thought. There might be consultation, there might be contact claim from the SC or from somebody or this thing. Then we move forward. But this thing arbitrage, Tanzania, 25 cents. That's not simple. Then look at these things about 4 cents or so. You see, so please, there are figures that we can also churn out. There are figures, we are sitting here, we know that we do. There are figures, we can benchmark and churn out.
Hi, this is a follow-up. So my name is Mr. Wakaka. I'm head of residential and fraud at MTN Ghana. Again, I just want to address the issue of the arbitrage. I think it's very, very there is no any other science in the world that can prove that you'll have no arbitrage and Simboxers will be in that market. Nigeria is a clear case. South Africa is a clear case. The US of A is a clear case. The whole of Europe is a clear case. I understand that our operations or our countries want to get more revenue by having these incentives or these levies. But at the end of the day, there is no arbitrage, there is no Simbox. It's 100% proof. And even if today, right now, we applied it, you would see immediately all the Simboxers would run away. In the countries you mentioned, like Ivory Coast, we have an MTN operation there. They have Simbox. Yeah, they have Simbox similar to what we have here in Ghana. Yeah. If you talk about countries like in East Africa, who recently increased their termination rates, Uganda and Tanzania increased their termination rates. I think also Rwanda increased their termination rates. A lot of the Simboxers who actually were here have moved into their market and are doing Simboxing right now. And if you look at, for example, Uganda, where we do a lot of work with them, myself, I'm actually from Uganda, Simboxing is rife. It's becoming like what we have here because the termination rate has been increased and there's a humongous margin for the Simboxer. At the end of the day, if there is no need, then it will not happen.
If it's Parliament that can change the law, and it has to be the telcos initiated it, have you initiated anything to get Parliament to make any changes in the law? If that is what it's going to take.
I'll give you a simple answer. Yes, work is in progress to do that. Because quite recently, all these calculations have been put on the table, and all parties are seeing that this is the way forward. If there are already such fiber cables and what have you to bring the cost in, and there is no arbitrage, why would they go and buy so many thousands of dollars worth of a Simbox to come and operate the same service that we are already operating? You get me? Calls from US to Ghana is passing through the real correct route and also through Simbox. Simbox equipment is expensive. No arbitrage. Of course, then all the calls will pass through the normal route. That's what I'm saying. So all we are saying is remove this arbitrary difference. If the difference is off, and what they wanted to see is calculations. As they cannot do the same. From 2008 to now, all those calculations are being made and we put them on the table, and then the discussions continue. So I believe strongly that is a work in progress.
Recently, we are told of the clearing house that has been introduced. How would that, solve or address some of the key issues we have in our communication sphere, like the Simboxing? How would the clearing house? Because what I want to see as the NCA leading the fight, because they are all stakeholders, the telcos and the NCA. I don't want to hear that the telcos should be the people to initiate. If it's a problem for all of us, because government is losing, telcos are also losing. So why should we also say the telcos should initiate the move? Because the clearing house, for instance, is something you push for to solve some of the problems, the basic problems we have in our communication sphere. So,
okay, there's another question here as well. Let him.
Emmanuel, from Ghana. My question has to do with the motivation. I like the police service because they are combating crime with normal people like us. Like when you tell the police that you have maybe you see an armed robber and you go to the police, I think they'll give you an award of 5,000. So I'm asking the telcos and the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, if police are giving out 5,000, what would I get to actually go to the address? Just something for that. What would I get? Will I be given an award or because you cannot fight this cause alone. You need people on the ground. Somebody like us, be the student, the youth. We are always on the ground. So if you should tell a policeman who's in his office, go to Cape, you go there and come back. You don't get anybody. But if you should contact me, as a student, a youth, who goes everywhere, I think I'll be able to call you. I know this man. What will you give me? If I
My brother there was talking about whether why should not NCA be proactive? You see, the regulations work. You have to get opinions. Take it. I'm not saying the telcos should be. What I'm saying, if you feel the arbitrage is submit, engage the regulator to discuss that issue. If you feel that, but the regulator to may think otherwise. You have to convince, when you convince the regulator, these are implemental policies. There'll be an advisory to the ministry that this is what our stakeholders are saying, or the industry players are saying. They will take it from there. But when we draw it for people to arbitrage, I always cite the example, 2008, what happened? You see. Then the issue of clearinghouse. Clearinghouse have to be on top of the platform. And the clearinghouse phenomena is to solve a number of issues. Like the platform that the clearinghouse must is a platform for international verification of fraud. Traffic. You see. And it is our hope that that system will help curtail the Simboxing system. Not the clearinghouse. Not branding the system now. We are going to just give the companies. You see. But we should not think that when the clearinghouse comes, today, then tomorrow, this. There's a consultation going on. People are talking about it. I'm sitting here, I'm not a clearinghouse expert. What I do is what I'm talking about. You see. But that system will have to sit on what? An ICT system, which will have to look at various issues that have needed solution. And we are taking, which I hope will be the case, that when it comes in, the collaboration of everybody, that system we are implementing now, not that the clearinghouse though is not implemented, still a facility, what I do. You see, but the system I'm talking about, which my colleagues here in we are from like this. And we want to do what we can do best to create the system, the menace. But if we think arbitrage is the issue, let's proceed and do what is expected of all of us as stakeholders. The issue of what NC thinks about the SIM fraud. You see, crime will not rise when you don't have the conditions to do so on such a crime. You see, listen to me. You see, what is our internet platforms? What are they doing now? Where Theo showed you an antenna that have been covered this. We have some sophistication when it comes to internet provision. Without internet provision, you cannot do that. You can't do it. That is one. Secondly, like I told you, people are advertising. Work from home. You don't do anything. You don't do anything. You tell you where to install it, and you are just unemployment. people who take advantage of it. So it's not one particular problem. We have a lot of issues. And I'm telling you, if this thing is even the difference is even 1 cent, they'll do it. If it's even 1 cent, they'll do it. So now, together, let's see how best we can eliminate this money. If it's arbitrary, then let's do the proper thing by presenting the right documents against the regulator. Let's have consultations, let's have discussions, and move it forward. That's how we should do things.
Okay, let me answer that one, the 419 first. It's a toll-free, actually, it's a toll-free line. You send a text message to it. Once you receive an international call and a local number appears, you send a text message to us, include that local number, and also include the keyword Simbox, and you send it to us toll-free. You will not be charged, and it comes to us. We work on it. I think that's the answer to it. Toll-free. Then the motivation issue. That one, I don't know what I will say about it. I'll pass it on to Mr. Bassett. He's ready to answer that one.
I think that what my junior brother here said is, I would say, is food for thought. Informants award is one area that goes a long way to help the police to function well in terms of getting information. But there is a task force in place which is responsible for to handle Simbox issue. Fortunately, Mr. Kano is here. Mr. Botre is also here. I would say that Mr. Kano is one person who I would say is our boss on this program. So I think we can take it on board and then look at it. If the task force will come out with a statement or can work out a modality where informants awards can be made available for people to come in to give information, I think it's not a bad idea at all. Okay, so let me have it.
I'm a Christian. And every good deed deserves reward. What we've been doing or what we've done in the past to provide very tangible information. Why not? Why not? We've rewarded people before and will continue to reward when tangible information is provided.
Just anyone people are arrested, there's interrogation. We want to find out who are behind what is happening. What are these people who are arrested? What are they telling the police? Maybe Mr. Bao will have to tell us something. What are they telling? Even if you can give us pointers. Because we have to know who are these people behind.
I'm very surprised at the NCA. Sometimes some of us find it difficult to understand NCA when they keep beating around the bush. If you are the regulator and there's a problem with the telecom, what they call it, company, or the consumers are complaining, and government is ranting about the fact that it's losing a lot of money, and we are sitting down and saying the telcos must come, so they go to parliament to change a certain law for something that is creating a problem from everybody, for everybody to be solved. I heard him talk about the fact that internet access is the one facilitating this fraud thing. I don't agree with him. NCA should come together, call the telcos, form a committee with the security people, and see how we can resolve the issue. You have created a market that the Simbox guys have positioned themselves there and making money. The telcos are complaining. government is complaining. The easiest thing to do is to make sure government reduce the difference. Let the telco, the Simbox guys be discouraged from doing that, and then everybody will be free. There are so many examples. Unless they want the Simbox thing to be legalized in Ghana, and I don't know whether they are thinking of that. If Viber and the Facebook calls and all that are coming to mainstream, the app market, so I can make calls via the internet, which is allowed in Ghana. If you don't want to help the telcos, let's see the way forward. Are you reducing the taxes? Are you reducing the differences to discourage the Simbox guys? Or you want to legalize that technology? NCA should be clear. We work in the app, the industry. Some of us don't understand why even some 4 other guys should be licensed for 4G, where you have existing telecommunication companies with the infrastructure already. So it's quite difficult understanding some of the rules of NCA, and some of us are not pleased. Thank you very much.
Well, I thought I would set a few issues straight. First of all, it is to say that we are not raising the issue of arbitrage on the fringes, except that when there are certain discussions and consultations going on, you wouldn't want to put those discussions in the public domain until they are completed. Except to say that the issue of arbitrage has been raised variously by the telcos at different forums. Vodafone has raised it with the NCA, with the Ministry of Communications. I did that presentation to the NCA and to the Ministry of Communication, and we pointed to the issue of arbitrage as what we thought was the main driver of Simboxing. We have done a presentation to Parliament. I did that presentation to Parliament. We have raised the issue of arbitrage. And so we are not raising it on the fringes. We are targeting it directly to those who must listen. Again, I did a presentation to the board of the NCA. I pointed to the issue of arbitrage. And so we are raising it at the appropriate quarters. As I said from the beginning, there are some consultations and some discussions going on this issue of arbitrage. We will not be able to put it in the public domain because they are still at the initial stages of discussions. Again, to point out that I don't think Mr. Kano disagrees with us on the issue of arbitrage, because he did say in his response that even if the arbitrage is 1 cent, it still will provide enough incentive for the Simboxer. That is an admission that it is the arbitrage. Maybe it is the levels of arbitrage that we are arguing about, but on the specific issue of arbitrage, I think we both agree. Now, a question. I still haven't got it as to how the issue of the interconnect clearing house would help solve Simboxing, because that is one of the touted advantages of the interconnect clearing house. I will appreciate it if the NCA can let us know how that will help resolve Simboxing. Thank you.
My name is Eric Novices Jale. I write for the New Statesman. Yesterday, when an Afrobarometer survey was released yesterday by the CDD, indicates that many people don't have the trust in many of the security services and the police. My fear is that we want to tackle these fraudsters, and then to get to a point in time where you may give a tip-off to the police. But at the end of the day, my fear is that the police might end up taking bribes from those fraudsters. Now, to the young man's question, that if there should be any motivation incentives, I believe, I would suggest that the NCA should form, the task force that you form, they should rather form task force based on youth in schools, so that they can track those people, give a recommendation to NCA. The NCA will rather make a follow-up than an individual giving a tip-off to the police who will go out there and then do their own thing. Because initial thing, I have a house in my vicinity there. In the evening, the police will come there, made some few arrests, and the next morning you see the same people. You see the same people going around. So it means that there's some sort of as it were, collision. Let me put it that way. Thank you.
You see, when we are at a forum like this, and everybody knows, you know that there are consultations going on, and you deliberate to create the impression that nothing is happening. What do you expect from here? I'll tell you, send your concerns to the appropriate quarters. You see. Secondly, NCA is not beating about the bush. NCA is made up of very seasoned people with credibility. You know what we are doing. There are issues when you don't understand. Just go to the website to get clarity. You should ask questions. The sector we are dealing with is a global sector. Don't do this by heart. You do things by what? The regulations or the legislations you have. That's how we run our shows. So we don't do things by heart. Simboxing, you need intelligent gathering. There are things I can't avoid. I can't say here. You see, it's an intelligent gathering thing. We are very fortunate to have Superintendent Bang to be here with us. It's a serious job, a very dangerous job we are doing. You see, so when we are talking about the issues, people should not look at it as if NCA is doing that. If we disagree with what NCA is saying, yes, you can disagree. But when you get inside what is happening, you will appreciate the situation. When I came here, I started off that it's a collaborative effort. No Superman in this game. It's a collaborative effort. Market women help us. Truck drivers help us. Taxi drivers help us. A lot of people help us in gathering the intelligence. See, and the question is whether arbitrage or no arbitrage. I still stand by my instinct. What happened in 2008? There were Simboxes in 2008. But international termination rate was what? As low as 4 cents. See. And who? Because that time, everybody said, no, don't touch it, don't touch it. Eventually, the operators understood that they are losing money. So they came to us, we worked together, and we worked. And everybody was happy. If along the line, you are facing problems, what do you do? The same way you came the first time, you can come the same way. And if you are on, there are consultations going on, then why do we come here and create the impression that NCA is not doing anything? Why should we create that impression? This is a serious business.
I will start from my friend who seemed to be having his reservations about the police. Whatever indexing that came out, sitting here as a policeman, I don't know what they were put in place, what are the inputs that they put in to arrive at that. But when I came here, when I mounted the podium here, I said it, that once as a policeman, people have their own reservations about us. But we are sitting here today, right now, having discussions because of the police. If the police were not to be around, this place, you cannot even come from your house and even get to this place at all. From here, we will not even reach your home. But for the president of the police in town, that is why we are all driving around freely. That's one thing that you must take note. Else, you won't reach here. I don't know whether you acknowledge that. And then the police. One thing that you may have to take note is that without the public, the police, we cannot function effectively. We are not all knowing, we are not all hearing, and we are not all seeing. So we still rely on information from members of the public in our intelligence gathering. And I want to assure you that there are credible police officers who outnumber the Mensans. In every home we have Mensan. You said that some policemen will come and effect arrest, they don't see what happens later. I don't know what type of arrest. You didn't tell us what the people have done. You didn't tell us what they did, and they were arrested. Hello, are you here? You haven't told us that. Maybe you have gone further to tell us why they came to arrest them. Probably I would have known. Probably they were taken to the station, but the Constitution allows that within 48 hours, if you think that there's no need to keep the person further in custody, you grant him bail. So the fact that somebody is arrested and you see him at home doesn't mean that the case is not being pursued. Or the chances are that the Mensans, the few Mensans among us, are also doing their own thing. I will not dismiss that. But that will not, that is not to say that that is everywhere. The police, I'm not here to defend the police, but I know what we are doing. Yesterday, I made a presentation at MDPI. And the group who I went there to lecture, I was there from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. When I came out, some of them were following me to my car. I gave them information about personal security. And they were happy. So the police go beyond maybe the few ones you see on the road and you have their own reservation about them. It's above that. We have credible policemen, officers. I lecture at the police college. I'm a lecturer there. And we teach them all these things. We teach the recruits. And I also teach at the detective school too. We teach them. Sometimes we go to the banking college to deliver. I was at National Health Insurance, deliver a lecture there. We deliver very useful information to the public. So I want to plead with you. Try us and see whether we are not working well or not. We are arresting armed robbers. Have you ever heard that policemen are going to arrest an armed robber and the information has leaked? Have you ever heard it? People are murdered. We are not there, but we are able to trace them. Where do we get the information from? It's true people who have trust in us and they come to confide in us. So I want to tell you that don't be afraid. When you have information, whatever the CDD brought out, I'm not here to debate that. I don't know what they did. Yeah. Granted that it is true, fine. I hope my bosses are there, they will handle with that. But I'm telling you that we are working. Else you wouldn't have a sitting here at all. You wouldn't even get the chance to reach here.
Thank you.
And then coming back to your question.
Yeah, my question.
You know, our work is intelligence-based.
Yes.
And when you conduct an investigations and certain information are given to you, you cannot come out because you need to try and test the information to ascertain the veracity of the information, whether it is anything to go by. Some people can just make passing comments in order to free themselves. Others too will try to implicate others, thinking that if this person is roped in, to help him to come out. And there have been few occasions that some foreign companies have been mentioned. I think you know some. And I know very well that we pass it on to the embassy's consent. We have done that. Right. So some of the information we cannot give it out here. It is for our work, and then maybe where we think that we can confide in them, confide in them. So please, some of the information are not for public consumption.
No, we understand. We understand. I mean, we just want to know that at least the police know who is behind these things. But then, please, we are rounding up. But the question about how the clearinghouse is going to solve Simbox fraud has not been answered still. So, Mr. Kano, please, if you can help us. Just maybe so that we can just finish on that, because I think that's the only question that have not really been answered so far. Thank you.
The person who asked the question was at different fora for clearinghouse. I started by saying I'm not an expert in clearinghouse.
Okay.
I'm an expert in international traffic verification. That's what I'm talking about. And what I do is that the clearinghouse sits on that. They know the answers, but they want to ask. I'm not an expert in clearinghouse.
Okay. it makes me, Mr. Kano, you remind me of a certain showcase in Ever Star. Rainbow speaking, when he speaks, nobody's. So, well, they know the answers you are asking me. Rainbow speaking, no answer. Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, everybody, for coming. But I think you deserve a better thanks. Let's put our hands together for ourselves. I mean, seriously speaking, this debate, I believe that probably even it has raised more questions in your minds. You understand? You've gotten some answers, but there are still more questions to be asked. It will not stop here. Let's keep going to the various institutions. Let's keep asking them questions. When we feel the need, we'll probably hold another forum and discuss another aspect of the whole thing again. And we hope that by then things would have been better, and the 40 million would have come to like 10 million or something. Then maybe 5 million. Then we are seeing improvement in terms of the numbers. We are going to do vote of thanks very, very, very soon. But then we did this in collaboration with partners, and one of the partners is the NCA. And then let's put our hands together for them. And then the other partner is the Telecoms Chamber. Mr. Kano has been speaking for a while now. He's going to give us some closing remarks as a collaborator in organizing this. But before he comes, we want to welcome Mr. Kuku Sikiado, who is the Chief Executive of Telecoms Chamber, to give us some remarks before.
Thank you very much, Sami. And thank you all for coming. I've just got just a few remarks to make. First of all, we are privileged with this to have this partnership with the network of communications reporters, of whom I am a proud patron. So I'm happy to be one of you. But more importantly, I'm also happy that we are able to put this together in partnership with the National Communications Authority, who willingly and happily accepted to join this tripartite partnership with the NCA and us to begin a series of dialogues to help enlighten one another about a very dynamic industry, one that keeps changing and one that requires continued and continuous learning by all stakeholders from one another. I think that we've heard here this morning examples cited about Simboxing, whether or not it pertains in certain countries, and we've heard rebuttals from others. I think what it suggests is that there is a need for continued conversation by all stakeholders so that we can learn from one another, telcos from the regulator, and independent analysts from network operators and from the regulator, and vice versa, because no one has all answers just by themselves. And for that, we're happy that this event took place and that it is the first of a series to happen on different subjects. Perhaps in the next one, of course, it all depends on the NCR. They are leading it. Maybe on the clearinghouse, maybe on something more critical than that. Mobile virtual network operators, that may be licensed, international wholesale traffic carriers, 4G licensees. We don't see them here. We think that next time we should ensure that we are part of this conversation. ISPs, some may be here, maybe not, I'm not sure. But GESPA, that is the Ghana Internet Service Providers Association, we should strive to bring a lot more people, apps developers and so on, together into the conversation so that we can learn from one another. That's my first remark, and I think the most important remark that I wish to make. As a Chamber of Telecommunications, we will, together with our members, continue to engage with the regulator, with the Ministry of Communications as the policy maker, with the Ministry of Finance that is keen to raise revenues and prevent leakages. From where we sit, we see the difference between the international call termination rate and the local tariff as the prime cause of Simboxing, but we are open to be convinced otherwise, and to superior argument. But considering what is going on in other African countries and elsewhere in the world, many of whom our members operate in, Airtel is in 17 African countries, MTN is in how many? 22, Vodafone, 12 African countries. So there's learnings going on there as well. Of course, the NCA also has, and talks to other regulators in parts of the continent. So we have to keep talking in order to get the answers and get it right. I think what is not in dispute is that everyone is bleeding except one. The government is bleeding because over the last 4 or 5 years, international traffic, legitimate traffic, has plunged by more than 40%, according to the NCA itself. It costs 200 times more to call Ghana from the UK than it does to call Nigeria. The network operators who have paid license fees for their gateway, $2 million, plus annual renewal fees that have been doubled from $100,000 to $200,000, they are losing traffic. The Ghana Revenue Authority is losing revenue. The NCA, whose revenues comes from 1% of the revenues of mobile operators, are getting less because the network operators are getting less from international traffic. The only winners, the only gainers in Simboxing is the Simboxer. So, what is the best route to disintermediate, get rid of the Simboxer? That's the question, that's the focus of this conversation. You've heard the arguments for yourselves. Let's all continue to read, to talk. We, as an industry, will continue to engage, and we have begun engagement on this subject, and we hope that sooner rather than later, we will bring it to a conclusion that hopefully will address this problem in the long term. Those would be my remarks. I thank you very much, all of you, for coming and for your participation.
So yes, so like I said, our other collaborator is the regulator. We can calculate that that is one regulator, of course. So we would like Mr. Carlos to give us his closing remarks, and then let's put our hands together.
Thank you very much. Yes, a very nice breakfast. Many on the breakfast is very rich. Everybody, I could see that everybody had a very decent breakfast this morning. I'll thank the organizers, network of competing reporters, and my brother, Profus Chindan, always collaborate. I always say that NCA will not be there if the network operators are not there. The network operators will also not be there if NCA is not there. We need to collaborate. Our work is to make you comfortable. Our objective is to make Ghanaians appreciate ICT services and enjoy it. If along the line you feel there's something that is worrying you, as a child, just tell your mother, father, sister, this is what is worrying you. Let's continue to collaborate. We've been doing this for so many years. Network operators are providing so many jobs. I went to a particular network on a visit, and I was shocked to see about 95% of the employees to be Ghanaians. This is very wonderful. So anything we do, we are doing for what? Ghanaians. Let's understand that very well. Nobody will do something on top to help Ghanaians as a regulator. The 4G operators was a special design for Ghanaians. The network operators had a listing, but we said that at any time, 30% of the shares of that license should be for Ghanaians. That's why you see Ghanaians picking up that license. If you don't know, you think deliberately are not ruling the network operators. Ghanaians too should have a bite in the cake that we are all developing. We are all people. The discussion here maybe might be hot, it might be aggressive, or this, but it's all to what? Enrich the process. Enrich the process so that we come out eventually with something that is very optimal for all of us to work with. So it's not that this man is against NC or NC will do the telcos. No. It's a process. There are some forums that you have heated arguments. But when you have technology people talking, that's not, because 1 + 1 will always be. If it's 3, then means you have to justify what is are your 1 or 2 or this thing. So I will use the opportunity, since people have said all of it, I'll just use the opportunity to thank you. And the NCA door are always open for further collaboration, more of such fora so that we can talk to people. And you, the pressmen, should always take the positives to the communication. Take the positives. Let's not create a impression that the industry is in crisis. No. This industry is very, very well. There's more room for improvement. And I encourage my colleagues to go on the network that let's continue the dialogue, let's continue to have conversations so that we can move the industry forward. Thank you all for coming. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I will take all that to mean that we are going to be seeing more of this, as we go on.